Mississippi. We're here at the venue. Today is basically a day to pre-rig, which means we're gonna set our points for the stuff that needs to be hung in the ceiling, and then we go home and rest and get ready for the full load-in of production tomorrow. So I'll show you a little bit of behind the scenes on that. I'm with John and Miles. Miles is our system engineer, and John is our chief rigger / audio guy. All right, this is where our next venue is. So like I was telling you guys, there's one job in this industry I just can't do. You see how high this place is? So we have to have people climb all the way up there and set points for us once we draw on the floor. So where our points are going to be exactly, where we're going to hang our LED screen and our PA system for sound and all that good stuff. So yeah, we have 5 hours of work to put in today, and then we'll be here the entire day tomorrow to finish production. And then Sunday we check everything. Then Monday we have a show at night. So stick around, part 2, baby. So there you have it, folks. All the points that were on the floor are tied to a motor, and that's what's going to help us hang all the points that we have for lighting, video, and audio. So all these points have a purpose, and that's how we're going to get our stuff in the air. So basically, this is kind of where we're at. Lighting has their rig in the air, which is great. At least it's floating. LED still has to get done. It's back there. They have the middle wall done pretty much, and one side over there. They got to get this side done. And then there's another LED wall that's going to go back there at front of house. Our PA is still on the floor, our L Acoustics rig. But we have our cable bridge, which is this big old truss right here, up in the air on both sides. That's gonna handle all our cables for our PA. So we'll fly the PA tomorrow. We have all our amps all set. We have power to our amps on this side and an exact copy on the other side as well. So yeah, tomorrow when the stage gets built, we'll put in our stage audio, our monitor console, our mics, and all that good stuff. And then our front of house is going to be back there. Broadcast is in this room somewhere in there. And then we'll be ready for client on Sunday evening. They come in and start the show Sunday evening, and the rest of the week is easy. So that's it. See you tomorrow. Hey, day number 2. So our first goal of the day is to get the PA right behind me up in the air, get it tested, get sound coming out of it, and then wait for the stage to be built right over here and get our subs and all other things in place. So let me get to work and I'll check in with you a little later. Here's our afternoon check-in. It's about an hour after lunch. Stage is already built, our subs are in place, our front fills are in place, LED wall is already up and powered, front of house is already built. Miles is over there tuning the PA. LED wall is up and powered, like I said. Our speakers are up in the air. We got subs under the stage. We have 8 subs on this one, 4 on each side. and then our front fills are in place, but they're not tied in yet. We'll get that, and then we'll get that in a few. But yeah, we're looking good. Lights are up in the air. It's starting to look exactly like Pensacola, Florida, right? Same setup, just a different venue. All right, it is Sunday. Today's the first day of show here in Mississippi. We're just going through our checks now, waiting for their engineers to get here because they had to fly all the way back to Houston during the week to prep for their Sunday service, and then they're coming in tonight to do the show for the rest of the week. That's a crazy schedule. I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but you know, we're ready. We're going through our checks. Miles is checking his PA system, throwing some noise through it, and then we should be ready. I don't think they're going to do a broadcast stream tonight because it's just the welcome for the kids coming in. This venue is not going to be filled to capacity like the last venue, so we're expecting a little less than 2,000 kids on this one. So yeah, this is the part of the job that we do the most, you know. Sometimes you think mixing is the glamorous side of things, but in all honesty, getting things set and ready for other engineers to come in and do their show at this level is usually where it's at. So you either on either side of the coin, either you're the engineer coming in the mix with your artist and band, or you're part of the production company that gets to set it up and enjoy the show for the rest of the night, or the rest of the week in this case. So I will show you some bits and pieces when I can, if I'm not too busy as usual, and then we'll kind of go from there, okay?
Drop that beat. I have my first love.
She had me going crazy like I was starstruck. She woke me up, made me know we just starstruck. Oh wow!
Look at DJ. Oh, I was starstruck.
There it is, Wind Tribe.
Slide in, slide in, slide in, slide in, slide in. Oh,
Wow!
he has been
I
sliding.
think he opened his mouth.
All right, folks, we're here with Josh. He's our front of house engineer on this beach summer camp this year. Josh, are you also front of house at Second Baptist Houston as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So tell us a little bit about yourself, you know, your career, how long you've been doing this, and why audio engineering as a career as opposed to anything else, maybe being in a rock band or something.
Well, I mean, that was plan A for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I think most live sound guys are probably on plan B, you know,
Yep.
behind being a musician, you know, being a rock star themselves. But I fell in love with live music when I was young. My dad started taking me to concerts when I was a kid, and I can remember we went to go see Aerosmith in 1997.
Nice.
And I knew that this is where I wanted to be the rest of my life, was in something in that world, in live production. And I definitely had a band and played music for 10 years, and at some point I started working with musicians that were a lot better than I knew I was ever going to be, and I was getting paid to be on the same gigs that they were already on. And so I just kind of decided that this was my seat, and so I just decided to pursue that, and I've been doing it now since 2003. Started out doing rock and roll clubs, and pretty early on found a job here at Second Baptist. I've been here now since 2005.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so I started out as a contractor, and it was kind of a part-time thing, and then over time I've got where now I have the A1 seat at the big campus. We have this the Yamaha Rivage system, a little different control surface.
Yeah.
But it gives me the opportunity to work with really great musicians and really great people. I get to mix on a console that costs more than the house I grew up in.
Yeah.
So I'm very blessed to have that opportunity.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, that was actually my next question is, I saw that you guys have the PM10s here, the Rivage, at this summer camp, and I was just wondering why you guys chose that, and I assumed it's because you have those at the church and it's super comfortable.
We were able to do rehearsals at home on the same system. So we did 2 days of rehearsals with the band, just to let them kind of flesh out their ideas, so that way we were having rehearsals and not practice when we got here.
Yeah.
The band had already had enough space to kind of work out some creative ideas that they had, and then when we got here, we just had to focus on executing them.
Yeah.
And being able to just copy files. We have PM5s.
Okay.
At our Woodway campus, but being able to just share those files across platforms like that made it really seamless to show up here with basically a like-for-like system of what we had for rehearsals, and that translated into a really quick sound check last week. It was really more just about adapting the mix to the room at that point.
Very nice, very nice. So some of the things I ask engineers whenever I get a chance to interview them is kind of give some advice on how your approach is to mixing front of house per se. I know you're, mainly in the church setting, so you mix more CCM, a lot of heavy guitars and vocal heavy, and then the drums are nice and crisp, which I love the sound. So kind of like your approach, are you doing any groupings or anything like that? What are some of your favorite effects that you like to use? Things like that.
Yeah, thanks. I started out as a monitor engineer early in my career. The first 10 years or so of my career, I worked almost exclusively as a monitor engineer, and got to do that with, some really good artists over the years that kind of let me raise my game in that world, and paying attention to their needs kind of informed a mixing philosophy for me of kind of staying out of the way of what the musicians are trying to put across, especially if you're working with really great musicians that you can tell put a lot into their craft, and their sound is polished and ready for you. You don't really need to go in and add your spin on it. So I try to mix in a way that I affect small changes over many layers.
Yeah.
So a little bit of EQ on each drum mic, a little bit of compression, and then maybe a little bit of EQ and compression on the bus. And then my master bus is always wide open. I don't ever do any kind of limiting on the master.
Nice.
So I really try to use minimal dynamic control. Again, if you got good players and good microphones and you're careful about where you put them, most of these kind of instruments work in a realistic dynamic range, especially with a great PA system like the K2 that we have here, where I don't need to compress the kick drum to let it sit in the mix. I can just turn it up, and it gives me what I really want out of the kick drum, which is that dynamic push of air, rather than relying on implied dynamics through a lot of compression. So I'm maybe affecting 2 dB of compression at the source on all of those drum mics, and just kind of letting them be open. And then the guitars have no processing on them.
Okay.
The bass, he is using several different sounds, and some of them sit a little differently in the mix than I'm expecting them to on a particular song, and so I'm doing some parallel compression on the bass.
Nice.
I'm letting his signal through just like it's coming, but I'm also adding a little bit of parallel compression just to make sure that the bottom stays nice and solid the whole time.
Beautiful. Okay, final question for you is, you said you're on a Rivage, and that's kind of what you're working on right now, but what have you used in the past before, and what are some of kind of like your favorite type of consoles to mix on?
Well, I didn't really have any kind of long experience with analog that makes me nostalgic for analog. My first job was Yamaha analog M3000A at monitors or PM3500 at front of house, and I don't really have any nostalgia for those big racks of compressors and everything, especially for monitors. So pretty early on, I got involved with Yamaha consoles with the DM2000, which was not really a ideal platform for live sound, but it's kind of what we had, and then pretty quickly moved on from that to the Avid platform, or at the time the Digidesign platform, and I got into that the D-Show platform pretty early in 2007, and was on that for a long time and did a lot of shows on that. But then as S6 kind of took over, we kind of fell out of favor with Avid, and it seemed like I was using mostly Yamaha consoles in my work outside of the church, mostly CL with the bands that I work with, and also with the corporate stuff that I do. And I feel like the church market, for me, my job is like a even mix of the needs of a corporate gig with speech and routing possibilities of sending things many different places for different mixes and things like that for various destinations, and then also having a big, sometimes 100 input orchestra mix in the middle of a corporate event. It's kind of like what mixing at a megachurch is like.
Pretty much, yeah.
And Yamaha just really has their hands around that. We also did Digico SD5 for a few years, and I liked that, but in the end, the hardware for Yamaha was just, for us, a better choice.
I couldn't agree more. I'm so happy to hear someone like you, mention Yamaha as a go-to console, because that's exactly what I love as well. And, the Digico boys have been trying to convert me for years. But in what we do, church and corporate and things like that, I think, like you said, routing and hardware is important.
The Genius Lab brought them a lot closer to Digico.
Yes, totally agree.
I use a lot of the Genius Lab stuff. I'm using it to control all my auto-tune and vocal routing. The hardest thing about this show has been the vocals, because we have 10 singers on stage, and they trade off on leads, and the spontaneous nature of the music means that I can't really just keep some of them muted, they all kind of need to be open all the time. And so I have a pretty complicated, kind of dynamic control scheme between 2 different groups of kind of my frontline and backline vocals that I'm swapping in and out of, and I'm using Genius Lab to automate those changes to where I'm swapping vocals from a lead role where they're going to have different dynamic settings on their channel strip, and also a different DCA assignment and different group assignment that each have their own different expansion schemes. To be able to keep it nice and tight while the band's rocking behind 10 open vocal mics, and some of them are young singers that don't have a lot of projection, and so I'm having to add a lot of input gain. And rather than have 10 snare mics up there, it takes a lot of management to keep all that together.
Under control,
and programming it, once you have the macros built, is super easy.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Josh. Thank you so much for your time. Is there any social media handle that you'd like people to kind of reach you at if they have questions about audio engineering?
Sure, I'm at Combat Audio on Instagram. You can find me
Fantastic.
there.
Fantastic. I'll leave that on the graphic here. Thanks for your time, Josh. I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.